I've been a little uncertain about whether I make this video, and this is the third time that I'm actually putting this video together, so I think there's probably something in it. However, I did come to the conclusion that I do need to share this story with you. You may recall that in some of my more recent videos, I lost my day job back in February 2024, and well, we're now almost at the end of October 2024, and what now? If that's you or you know someone that's in a similar situation, I want to spend a little bit of time just sharing this journey with you. Really, there's a couple of points that I want you to take away. One of which is I want to encourage and inspire you that there will be hope. There is hope. And another one of my hopes is that your biggest takeaway from this, no matter what age you are, is that you can still choose your own adventure. I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections: the not so good, the slightly worse, and then also the what's next. And the what's next really is critical. So grab a cup of something good and let's settle in. If you're new to the channel, my name's Norf, and back on Star Wars Day 2023, I landed a post of Vice President of Global Revenue Enablement for a software company. Really grandiose title. I'm not a massive fan of titles, but the title is huge and it's very nice, right? I wasn't looking for the role at all. My leader at the time, who was a leader, he really was a great leader. At the time, he suggested that I go for it. So I had a long conversation with Mrs. Norf. I had a long conversation with the Norfs about it as well, and we decided it was going to be a really good opportunity, so we pulled the trigger on it. Then, in February 2024, my role was eliminated. Like many I know, it wasn't the first time that roles have been cut due to a company restructure, but for me, this would make the 3rd time. The first time was many, many years ago when I was working for a TV studio in London in the UK. A larger company came in and bought us out literally overnight. For me, because I was one of the last ones in, I was the first one out. That stands to reason, right? The second time, I spent 15.5 years working for a fairly well-known Finnish mobile phone manufacturer. The company at the time was physically relocating from where it was to another part of the UK, and it was completely impractical for me to commute. I was gutted. I absolutely loved the company. I loved the ethos, I loved the culture, and I loved the people that I got to work with and integrate with globally. I learned a little bit of the language as well, which was enough to get me into trouble, but that's a whole nother video. Then, as I said more recently, my senior post was eliminated from the software company that I was working for. On the Sunday night, before I was due to take a week off, some real key downtime that I absolutely physically and mentally needed, a 15-minute call was placed into my calendar from my boss. The first day of my time off, I thought this can't really be good. And on that call, I got the news that my role was being eliminated. The great news was that we were given a little bit of a severance package that the family could fall back on, which was just perfect. We have 4 small people, well, to be fair, they're not small anymore, plus a mortgage and other financial commitments. So I needed to get something PDQ. You may ask about my mindset. Where was my head at? Candidly, I was in a great, happy place. Once the paperwork was all signed and sorted, 3 significant things happened to me. First, anxiety left me like a rocket. I could see much clearer as my cognitive load had lifted. Second, I had the best night's sleep that I'd had in 10 months of having the role. And thirdly, I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. Some say forever the optimist. So the question that I posed to myself was, what now? What do you do next, Norf? This was the pivot. Since January 2024, I began hunting for other opportunities using LinkedIn and also asking my friends and my professional network for help. I'd applied for the best part of 120 different roles in the field and also the adjacent fields to what I did. Most companies came back to me with an automated thanks but no thanks email. That's fine. Others just plain ghosted me, like they'd fallen off the face of the planet. One of my good friends, and this is no word of a lie, one of my good friends applied for some 1,300 roles. He got close, but no offers actually materialized. He and I and many others were in the same boat. Our experience in job hunting was nothing short of grim, very grim. One company actually took the time to write a personal note to me saying, "Thank you, impressive CV, However, we're not moving forward with your application. That was an absolute breath of fresh air. I actually wrote back to the recruiter and thanked them for taking the time to write. For me, I'm a huge fan of giving credit where credit is due. I really am a huge believer in that. As part of the 120 roles that I'd applied for a role back in March, and literally only a few weeks ago, I got an automated response saying thanks, but no thanks. Marvelous, right? That said, I'm okay with that, as I know that recruiters are under a fair amount of strain and pressure because some of their systems and tools really are quite archaic. The slightly worse news is obviously there was no regular income that I was able to provide for the family, and as I said earlier, we have a mortgage and other financial commitments that we needed to address. We did what we could by reducing our outgoings immediately. The nice-to-have monthly subscriptions all stopped. I sold my motorcycle, and 2 of the Norfs were starting university. Needless to say, we needed to ensure that our pounds and pennies stretched as far as possible, to the point that my prepaid gym subscription had lapsed. And there was a great offer that I was hoping to capitalize on, however, I missed out. I'm questioning at the moment whether I can afford my gym membership. The other side of me says, can you afford not to? For now, walking and creative exercising is the way forward, maybe until next month. Please don't misunderstand me. I am super appreciative for who I'm connected with and the things that we have, and I do not take any of this for granted. So what now? What's the answer? The answer is the pivot. Being between jobs has allowed me a little time to explore a few areas. First, I know full well that I'm a creative, and having this time off has meant that I could refocus on my YouTube channel and try out a few ideas on my TikTok channel to give it time that they and you deserve. And I know that I've been extremely slack on that front. Some time ago, when I was in a similar situation, I started up as a freelancer. A great friend of mine, Ruth, came up with my True Norf logo, and I'm forever grateful. She's an absolute legend, as she gave me her time and her expertise and created a brand that I am immensely proud of. I asked, and she more than delivered. At the time, I was suffering from imposter syndrome around the skills that I possess. My skills were validated and firmly underlined by a very straight down the line, no BS conversation with my buddy Matt. We met a few years ago when we were both training to become professional radio presenters. After taking the leap into becoming a freelancer for the very first time a few years ago, I managed to earn a simple living being a technical content creator and offering training and enablement services. Some of these were in-person delivery services as well. I ran version 1 of my company for 14 months before rejoining the ranks of full-time employment, during which time I learned and experienced a truckload which no one could take away. Back in April this year, it became clear that I needed to do something different. After all, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, right? I wanted and perhaps needed to diversify my income, so I took the decision to reboot my company and pivot to become a freelancer again. In my business at the moment, I'm applying everything that I've learned and am continuing to learn, working for those I see a synergy with. Being let go from my previous role has done me a massive favor and forced me way out of my comfort zone. This video is the first in a series that I'm calling Full-Time to Freelance, or Full-Time to Fractional. We'll go into the differences in another video. For me, at the moment, the pivot has become real, and I have secured a few great clients, of which I am super grateful for. I'm also super elated, as this pivot has enabled me to work closely with one of my clients who is headquartered in the US, which is why the second part of this video has been shot in Chicago. Why do I share my story with you? Being laid off or having your role eliminated is rough, don't get me wrong. It put me into a bit of a tailspin as well. However, I want to encourage you. You may be over 50, a little bit like I am, or younger, or you may just be starting out. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you have fully transferable skills that employees need, and moreover, they actually want. They're looking for these skills. You have passions, achievements, goals that you want to reach. Look to channel these into reskilling. A new friend of mine, Robert, he used to be in software sales. He's now retraining to be a voice actor. The pivot is real. Another friend of mine, and you may argue that this is a bit of a Robert convention, he's also called Robert. He used to be in the armed forces or the military, became a very successful chef. Now he's a photographer, and he's had his work and the work of others in his own gallery. The pivot is real. It all does come with risks, that's clear, but it's never too late. And that's my point. It's not too late to switch or change tracks. You'll hear me say that skills are the currency for the work of tomorrow, and both Robert and Robert are pursuing a new skill and learning a boatload along the way. It may not be easy, but it's certainly possible. Think and write down the skills that you currently have. Also write down the people or the companies that you want to work for, and then chart a course and plot how you can get there. You may need some recognized credentials and experience first. However, you cannot become what you cannot see. Mandy Hickson, ex-RAF female fast jet pilot, said that. I had the pleasure of being inspired by her during an interview that she and I held. She's a powerhouse as well. Pilot, now keynote speaker. The pivot is real, and it's not too late. Forgive me for being the first to burst your bubble and remind you these things will not happen overnight. It takes time. So take the time to plan your path. Spend the time to learn a new skill, to hone a current skill. For specific jobs and roles, you may need to go back to school or university, and that's fine. Get after it. Rather, get after it now is what I would say. That's why I wear this. It's a band that reminds me to get after it, Norf, or for others, get after it now. For me, it helps bring focus. Personally, I've found LinkedIn to be a great platform to connect with professionals, to have conversations and discussions. You can also see what's trending in your career space or the adjacencies of your career space. Bounce your thoughts off others that you know and you respect and you trust for their perspective, counsel and truth. Just like my mate, Matt. I'm curious and I wonder, who could be your change catalyst? Thanks for getting this far. I really do appreciate it. If you found this helpful or inspiring, or you have questions, drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.